Yep,
And then she got to check with.
he's gonna check with Rob, yeah. I just wanted them to tell me what numbers they needed from me so that I'm not trying to get them when I come back from vacation. Maggie?
Tell me when we're good to go. Then Jeff.
Oh, Maggie?
So I'm going to call the meeting to order at 4:35, and we're late because John was late. Jeff emailed me a little early and said he will not be able to attend, but he hopes to watch it on YouTube, and he's very interested in the subject. So are there any adjustments to the agenda?
I didn't know it wasn't.
Huh?
I don't have any.
Sue?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't either. Any public comment from the back row there?
Yes, I'd like to announce that the Conservation Commission met last night and announced and elected Henry Spencer as chair for the coming year, and elected Sandra Wallace, who's here with us, as the vice chair, and Linda Garrett graciously agreed to continue as secretary since there are no other people willing to do the job.
Yeah, well, that's always the toughest one to get someone to volunteer for
She's so good
us.
at it.
She does, her minutes are like, you feel like you're at the meeting.
I know. And she's amazing, and she's so patient
Yeah.
with the rest of us.
Okay, new business. So we're gonna conduct a workshop regarding community resilience partnership, and I'll confess, I have read a little bit about it. I know very little about it, and I assume Sue's in the same position I am.
Yeah.
So we're gonna turn it over to you, and we have to be I actually have to be standing out front at 4:15, and we have at 5:45, and we have another meeting come in here at 6 anyway, so.
That's true.
You have to be in St. George at 6, right? So you probably, so we really need to wrap this up by 5:30 if we can.
Yep.
We certainly can, because I want to catch you up to what I know, which isn't a lot. I came into this, as I told you on June 17th, I went to the Maine Climate Council in Augusta, convened by the governor. It was awesome, incredible. And there was so much information. I came home with my head like this. And, but what I did pick up and know is that this is a great opportunity for South Thomaston. And the way it works is, that body has formed the Community Reliance Partnership. And I'll read to you because I can't remember all this. It's a state program the town can enroll in after meeting certain requirements.
Can I interrupt you 1 second?
Please.
Is there anybody on Zoom? I fear you're not speaking loud enough for that. And why don't you come up, maybe next to Terry, that would be closest to the owl. If that's okay.
Absolutely.
And because I know Jeff wants to hear this.
Oh, good. I'm glad he's listening.
Well, he said he was gonna try to watch it within a day or two, so and if he can't hear you, it won't work. So, and hopefully other people will watch it as well. So sorry to interrupt.
No problem. I'm glad. I don't want to have to do it again. Okay, let me just, I wrote you a memo on June 21st after that, but just to repeat the highlights, the Community Resilience Partnership is a state program the town can enroll in, and there's certain requirements. Joining the partnership makes the town eligible for up to 50,000 community action grants for climate and related projects. The things the town has to do is adopt a municipal climate resolution and establish a citizen working group. And basically, if the town wants to proceed, they will be part of a service provider grant, which would pay for a service provider to facilitate our enrollment into the program and apply for a community action grant. I met our potential service provider, and it happens to be, and this name would be familiar to you, Meg Rasmussen, who until recently, I believe, was the executive director of Georges River Land Trust. And is that correct?
I didn't hear the name. I think I'm gonna have to move on.
Okay. Anyway, she's
I don't know, but
Well, anyway,
I've heard the name.
yeah, well, so, so we talked on the phone. Her background is, she's done a lot of grant writing, so she's familiar with the jargon, yada, yada. And her role would be to guide us through this process.
So she's assigned to us if we join,
That's right,
and she's paid for from another source.
right.
Okay, yeah.
That's exactly right. And if you decide to proceed, the next step would be to have a Zoom meeting with Meg or have her in person. I don't know if she lives, I think she lives very nearby. And so anyway, that's the simple start of it. Just a little more about what we would have to do, the steps, the service provider, which would be Meg, helps us complete a community resilience, self-evaluation, and a list of community actions to assess our existing climate action progress. And prioritize actions from the list that the town wants to pursue, which I circulated at your last meeting. And then choose one or more community actions to implement. And then hold a public meeting or workshop during which the identified actions will be discussed with the community, because you have to have community buy-in. And then the service provider will help us adopt a municipal resolution if we've gotten that far. And then begin choosing the priorities and then starting with action plans. So that's the level. And the first, obviously, the first thing is for the select board to even say, go ahead and let's start the process, and have Meg come in and explain it more thoroughly, because I certainly can't. And that's detail, but the biggest thing, we are in Region 1, which is Lincoln County, and there's two ways to go. We can go it alone and just do it as South Thomas.
What do you mean we're in Region 1, which is Lincoln County? That's confusing.
Yeah, no, there are 4 regions in this program.
Yeah.
We're in Region 1. And so the other towns of interest that are in Region 1 are Camden, Owl's Head, Rockland, St. George, us, Thomaston, and Warren. There's a whole bunch more, but those were the ones I saw that were close by. Rockport's in it too. Now, I'm not sure they're all participating.
Yeah.
This is just a list.
So when you said, so you mind if we
No, I
ask
want
questions
you to
as
ask
we
me
go? Okay.
questions.
So is this person is the Region 1 sort of seated in Lincoln County with the Lincoln County Planning Commission or something? Is that what you meant by that, or?
Actually, they've got 4 subdivisions. It's York and Oxford County, Cumberland, Lincoln, and Knox, and
Okay.
so we would be the Knox County
Yeah, okay, all right.
region, but that's all under Region 1.
All right.
Okay, this is like,
5 counties plus 9 communities in Oxford.
Okay,
so,
I did see that actually now. That
Yeah.
okay. So we have 2 ways to go. We can go solo and go through our not a regional coordinator, through Meg, and she just works with us. Or we can join a collaborative and work with some of these other towns that are in Knox County. And the funding is different. If we go it alone, we can get up to 50,000. If we join the collaborative, I think the total is 100,000. Then we get into how are you going to parse that out? Who gets what? So
100,000 for all of the.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It sounds like there's not much incentive to join the collaborative.
Right.
Well, it's a
At least monetary.
Right, definitely not. So let me just keep going, because these are all the decisions that the select board's going to have to think about. The most interesting thing to me was to look at the list of 72 projects that were eligible for a no match grant. And then I looked at that list after I identified a bunch of really good ones, and identified 5 or 6 that the Conservation Commission could work on. So would you like me to give you just kind of an overview of what's possible?
Sure. So when you say match grants, are they 50-50?
Well, I don't even know,
You don't
because
know.
we don't
Okay.
want to match. we want to have just straight out.
Right, but,
money.
well, that was my question, is the match, I thought you said a match is required.
No, I'm saying that okay, let me start. The first round is over. We missed the first round.
Okay.
And all of the grant applications were actually accepted and funded. So we missed a really good opportunity to get in early. There's still funds available now. So what they've given us to work with is the list of the projects that were approved and got funded in round one. And round two, they keep changing the date as when those applications have to go in. It was the end of September, now I'm hearing March. So again, that's where our coordinator, our helper person, you know, help guide us through that. But what I wanted to say, you know, I went through, there's 72 of these, but I wanted to, you know, some of them that were especially important. I think to South Thomason as a whole, adopt and execute a plan for energy efficiency and building envelope winterization improvements for municipal buildings. All right, definitely something the town can use. And upgrade to energy efficient appliances in municipal buildings. Install, this is a biggie, install heat pump system for heating and cooling in municipal buildings. And then upgrade street lights. And then we get to the ones that install a renewable energy project, wind, solar, geothermal, yada, yada, on municipal property, school rooftop, area landfill, brownfield, you know, these are things that we could ask to be funded for. Now, here's where we get into ones I think the Conservation Commission could help with. Setting targets for increasing green space and tree planting to increase shade and water access to public spaces and carbon sequestration. Incorporate or goal into conservation plans conserving 30% of land in the community by 2030, including undeveloped town property. Create or update a watershed plan to identify flooding and water quality priorities and adaptation options. Develop a natural resource and habitat inventory that includes climate stressors and impacts. And then it goes on and on and on. Like I said, there's 72 of these. Some of them don't, you know, aren't applicable. We're not going to put in electric vehicle charging stations, I don't think, but that was on the list. And, you know, identify and protect sites for living shorelines and salt marsh mitigation areas. You know, this one I think is a biggie, but this would be the town, not the Conservation Commission. Conduct a community vulnerability assessment that identifies climate risks in vulnerable populations and includes a review of existing plans and policies. Adopt a climate resilience plan that describes high priority strategies for reducing risk and vulnerabilities. So, I mean, they would provide funding for someone to help us do that if we chose. And just stop me, say stop if you need to do that.
No, it's all right.
Developer.
You sent that list out. I did look, I perused it quickly.
Good, thank you. Develop or enhance early warning systems and community evacuation plans. You know, and develop a storm debris management plan. This is another one that Conservation Commission can help with. Map sea level rise projections in the local or county EMA hazard mitigation plans. You know, we could definitely approach EMA and get those maps and then present them to the community. So it does go on. There's one I particularly near and dear to my heart, which I brought up before. It's adopt DEP stream smart crossing guidelines as standard practice for culvert and bridge improvements, and identify vulnerable crossings and apply for DEP improvement funds. So, and we have lots of, you know, crossings that could stand to be looked closer at. And these are all just, this would be funding to just look into it.
Yeah.
Not necessarily to it.
Yeah.
And this is the final one that the Conservation Commission can help with. create a climate change education, outreach, and engagement program focusing on mitigation and adaptation to residents and businesses. So a lot of these other things would be select board and planning board and whatever, but I see a role in the conservation commission with this. So basically, I did this homework and my head is going. So before I go any further, I just want to know that the select board is interested in this at all. And if they are, whether they would allow me to invite Meg to speak to you.
Well, we're missing a member, and I don't think we're gonna vote on it tonight, so I think we can speak personally, not as a board. I'm definitely interested in exploring it further, and I will tell you, my one hesitation about even coming here tonight was my plate is just full. But when I hear you talk about this facilitator, all of a sudden I get this, not quite understanding what her, I guess it's a she in this case, what she can offer and what she can't, but, so, I mean, I'd be very interested in that. I also, having said that, I think, right off the bat, we've tried before, I mean, for example, the streetlights, we just switched to LEDs, just not even a year ago, so, but I know the energy lights in here and the ones in San Salt set, which use a lot of electricity, not to mention the fact they're very old and they're gonna have to be, and they're in a very harsh environment out there. They're gonna have to be replaced anyways, even if they're not energy efficient. I mean, that could be a real easy little thing. There's only 6 of them in the building or something, but they're way up in the air and it's expensive to do them.
Yeah.
So that on just sort of on some little projects, that sounds like a great idea. I mean, we don't have a lot of public buildings. Obviously, we have this building and Guilford Butler and the Sand Salt Shed. And well, we technically own the Little Red
I was
Schoolhouse.
gonna say, would those be included?
Yeah, the Historical Society building is not ours, but the other one is, although it's been leased to them. But so we don't have a lot of public buildings, but that's fine. But it strikes me the thing that we do have though is we have and this would be, I don't know how receptive some of the folks would be this, but a lot of jobs in this community are tied to businesses that are in very low precarious areas.
Okay, yeah.
And I think just to study the potential or for some sort of, devastating storm down there would be, I would think would be very appealing to those businesses. And I'm talking the co-op, Atwood, which is now whoever bought it, and the Plumes, and they have sort of 2 businesses now. Not to mention some residences that are, a lot of them I know are rentals right there on the shore. So I would hope that particular area right there might be interested. So I'm interested in pursuing it. My hesitation is, I know this stuff takes a lot of work. And I just personally, I mean, Terry will tell you.
Yeah, I can't do anything.
I can't do anymore, or I won't, I'll end up being divorced, no, I'm like kidding. I'm only kidding, but that's why I had strict orders to be outside at quarter. But, so I'm personally interested. I can't speak for Jeff, but he did say in his email when he told me he couldn't come that he's very interested in the subject. I don't quite know what that means, so I'll let Sue.
I mean, I don't see any harm in speaking, having Meg come down and talk to us and give us more information on how it all works. And
I think that would be very helpful.
Yeah.
and I agree with John, there are areas where are in dire danger, really, if we get much rise at all. Another place is like Pleasant Beach. I mean, that's,
Yeah.
really low line.
Yeah, because there's not a lot of industry there, but
No,
there's
but there's
definitely,
still,
yeah. And obviously, the town, weather, I know it's been very controversial but But the town already took a fairly major step in investing and raising the 2 areas of the island road that were, I mean, it's happening as one of the reasons I was late is I sat for 3 minutes at the red light. They're working there right now, you know, preserving access to that and, you know, but again, it's kind of a struggle. I've had people say to me as late as a couple of years ago, you know, I've lived here all my life and that road, no, I've lived here for 30 years and that road has never flooded. And my retort was, we're not looking at the past 30 years, we're looking at the future 30 years. So, you know, I don't know how receptive this, you know, there's still a lot of people who, setting aside why the seas are rising, let's just set that aside. There's still people who don't believe they are, and they are. I mean, you know, I don't even want to get into the argument of why, you know, but, so, I'm sorry, I feel like I cut you off.
No, you're fine.
Yeah.
And, you know, and as far as like buildings, like were the heat pumps something that could be
Oh, my God.
completely funded, or is that a match?
I don't know. See, this is what I didn't want to go too far down the path
Yeah.
if you guys said you weren't interested.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking if in fact it turns out that the Guilford Butler School, we build a new building. Now suddenly we're looking at putting all modern equipment in it, you know, and, you know, heat pumps and
Yeah.
solar panels. So either way, I think that the community, whichever community center we end up using, would benefit from these
Yeah,
plans.
potentially, whether we
Yeah.
go
Yeah.
one route or
Which
the
way,
other,
yeah.
right, yeah.
That's right.
But we could use it here.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
town obviously
Yeah.
has
I mean,
heat
we-
pumps
Definitely.
before our boiler dies.
Well,
So
and they
there
heat
you
and
go.
cool too, so you can use them for air conditioning as well.
Right.
And they've gotten much better, I
Yeah.
understand.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, and it just seems like we're actually in a great position to benefit from this because there is some aging equipment. And there's this possibility of, you know, moving the community center. I mean, just on so many levels. And I only gave you like 10 out of 72 things that, you know, have been funded. Okay,
Yeah.
so it's not like that pie in the sky till you die. The first step is only developing a plan and saying you've got community buy-in, which is what you would have to do. And you're the fishermen, and you're talking about all the stakeholders. You know, we would have to have public meetings to talk about this and say, here's this pot of money that we think we're eligible for that we have to, they require community buy-in. So that'll take some organizing, and I'm willing to work on this. I'm certainly not going to do it all myself, but I'm willing to kind of, you know, work on this and do whatever it needs to be done.
Yeah. Well, we've already done some. One question I do have, and maybe you can't answer, is, but I'm sure
Yeah.
Mick could, is whether the selectmen can do this, or we would have to have a special town meeting to do this. I'm not clear. Sometimes,
I'm not either.
you know, obviously, there's a lot of times, you know, the language may say the town, and a lot of times the town means town meeting, you know, so, but that's a legal thing that I'm sure if other towns have already joined it, sorted that out, but,
What it actually,
but calling a special town meeting, you can do that on 7 days' notice. I wouldn't expect we'd have 200 people show up.
it actually says here, establish a citizen working group.
But that's after you've joined. or-
No. To join the partnership, the town has to adopt a municipal climate resolution.
Well, all right,
And
and
they've got
that's my
sample language.
point. The town has to adopt. And my question is, does the town in
I
that case
see
mean
what you're
a
saying.
town
yeah.
meeting, or does it mean the board of selectmen?
It just says adopt, and again, there's a sample resolution available from these people.
Yeah,
So
and-
we don't have
yeah,
to.
But
create
if
it.
you have a council like Rockland does, they obviously can do it. But I'm sure Meg, she'll probably know that right off the top of her head.
She's a pretty smart lady,
Yeah,
yeah. So anyway, the first step is to get past, is the select board interested in pursuing this? And then-
Well, I think you heard that we are at least
I was
taking the next
hoping that's
step.
what I read, yeah. And then I'll get in touch with Meg, and you need to give me some dates, so,
Yeah, that's a problem.
Especially during the summer.
yeah.
Yeah, but I feel like some of the pressure's been taken off if we're talking now for the next round of grant applications is March, not September.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah, I mean,
really
that's a
do.
big difference.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and without Jeff here, it's hard to
Yeah, that's,
give you dates. Why don't we just, are we talking, what are we talking? We talking a month from now or 3 weeks from now? Or
that's up to you. I think that.
we had
just
trouble last night just getting a meeting scheduled, and then we thought we did. And then I went home and said, oops, I can't be here on the 25th. And so we didn't even get a meeting scheduled for the end of July. And I guess the other thing is, do you think it would need to be a special meeting, or could we do it at a regular meeting? I mean,
That's up to you, but you know, what I can do, maybe make it easier, is get in touch with Meg and say that the initial reaction is that the select board is interested. And what dates would she have available?
And daytime meetings were easier when Walter was here, but Sue works.
Okay.
So that makes daytime, I assume, a little more
I
different.
mean, sometimes I can do it.
You have some flexibility.
During the summer, I do more than
Yeah,
during
in
the school
schools and
year,
stuff,
but,
yeah.
but like if it's a late afternoon or.
Yeah.
I get out at 3, but I can arrange it and get out earlier if I need to.
Okay,
Yeah,
so that would be, you know, obviously Jeff and I and Walter were all retired, so we were fairly.
They're more flexible.
well, all right, that's great. That's it. That's what I wanted to hear, is that
Yeah.
I can go.
I think I'd rather do it in a little workshop setting.
Okay.
It just, I think it's more conducive to kicking stuff back and forth. And I don't feel like I'm under the pressure that like, you know, I see 4 people sitting here waiting for their business to come up, and, you know, we're yakking up here for while they're over there squirming in their seats. And not that anyone's rude about it, I don't mean that, but, you know, people are busy, and, you know, and I try to run the meetings in a way that if I see someone's here for one very simple, discrete matter, then we just get to them and they can go, you know, like we did last night, actually. So I think a workshop would be better, because, so yeah, why don't you do that, see when she's available, and then we can react to that.
I
Okay.
think that's a really good thing to do.
Yeah. Yeah. Have you talked to any other local folks who think might be interested in sort of being some heavy lifters on this at all, or?
I would like some local people who would volunteer to be a commissioner, because we're down to 6. And
Oh,
then
on the
I-
Conservation
Yeah,
Commission?
we need
Yeah.
another commissioner.
Well, we don't need them as desperately as we need planning board appeals board members. Although we did get a volunteer today for one of our vacant committee positions, which was hopefully a good thing. Terry, I see you put that notice up, and generally it doesn't result in a flood of interest.
No.
But maybe we should put a big sign up in the lobby, a real big one.
Yeah, like the fire department did. You know, around
Yeah,
town.
although they're not, I mean,
They're not getting anything either.
I don't think so. I mean, little towns are struggling to, I mean, people that are the age of volunteers, and seems to be,
That's good, but it's summertime, so, I mean, that,
yeah, this has been heading this way for several years, really. Yeah. And sometimes it isn't just pure volunteers, it's people that will do things, say at cost or something, you know, oh, I'll build that and you just pay for the lumber or something, you know what I mean? Or just pay me enough to pay my guys, and I'll provide the equipment, and you don't have to, and I won't be any profit. I mean, that type of stuff, there was a lot of that too, I think, there used to be. That's kind of fading too. But we digress. I'm gonna have plenty of time. So is that it?
unless you've got any more questions for me,
No.
just delighted to be able to present this, because I think it's just a great opportunity for the team. So, yay. Thank you.
Okay. Well, Terry, you're actually gonna get out of here close to the appointed hour.
Oh, I gotta wait till they come.
Oh, that's right. You gotta wait till the,
Yeah, that's all right, I got plenty to do.
okay. You gotta try to take a few days off.
I'm gonna try to take a vacation.
I'll try to take a few days off here. We don't want to burn you out. Okay, is there a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that. Further discussion? All those in favor? Okay. I'm gonna go home.
Yeah, Sue, it was nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, John.
Sorry I was late again, but it didn't matter.
No, we're good. This is it.
Okay,
Yay.
I can,
So John, you signed all of these?
I hope I have. In one place, I accidentally